So hey guys, we're back and it's time to build this service. And let's continue. We already imported the HTTP client observable of an empty from RxJs and map from the map from RxJS operators. Sorry, that's the only thing we're going to use from the operators. And let's create the public base URL that is going to be equals to, let me just copy this so you can have it. HTTPS API GitHub search and repos. That's the base URL, and it's going to accept a query. So we will build that. Okay, and public search results is type any. Okay. The constructor. Oh, we already have the constructor up there. It's going to have the HTTP client only, so it's private HTTP client type HTTP client. And now we're going to build what makes the HTTP call to the API. So this is going to be a function. Search entries is the name of the function. So it's going to accept a term, and it's going to be type observable. That's why we added imported observable here on line 3. We need to specify a type. It's type any, and we need to return an observable. Okay. So it says that it needs to return a value. That's why it has all these lines, or that red line. I don't know how to say that in English. So if term equals to this, so if we have an empty term, I'm going to do something first. Okay, I'm going to console that log only. You saw that we have not defined. Let's just keep it like that. You can add whatever you want, and you can also create a subject, okay, that contains this value and pass it so you can show an error. I've done that with the Firebase and Angular video. Okay, so you know, in case you want to do it and you don't know how, just let me know and we can get that. So here I'm going to do something. I'm going to first, this is not going to work, but I'm going to return, well, let's say return an empty. So this is the first way of, well, let me just say this, okay? So we can see what is going on. So you can get a, so you don't get a throw off because you get an error, okay? So you will see what happens there that is not going to work, and it's going to show us an error, so you can see what that error means. So this is the parameter, okay? So it's going to have this queue, so this is going to have something like this queue, okay? But it's going to be added. We're going to add a parameter using this. So this queue is the parameter, and we are going to add the term that we're going to that we're going to get inside this. And now here it says that we need to return an observable, so we need, or something, so we return this, that HTTP client. We actually made a call here, get this base URL, that is the URL we have, and we need to pass the parameter, so it accepts another well, parameter to pass the params. Okay, that is this variable on line 22. Now, remember that we used the pipe on the other video using Angular and Firebase. Okay, if you haven't seen that, check it out so you can see it kinda in a different way using promises. So this pipe is going to allow us to continue the stream. So to that stream, we're going to map it and say a response. So all this stream is going to pass inside this response, and this response, what it's going to do, okay, first it's going to console the response so you can see what it's actually doing, and we're going to return this that search results that is going to be equals to response, and this one has an items property, so the response is going to have the items property so we can get all the repos. Okay, so that's it. Let's add a semicolon there. So this is in the first part. So we're going to return the call with the mapped, and inside that we're going to set these search results to the items that we receive. So below here we're going to add just a function. So let's returns the subscription, not subscription, sorry, the response, because we're going to subscribe in the component. The only response, I'm not okay. So it's public underscore search entries term essentially this is only going to call the stat entries, search entries with the term. Okay, this is only going to run that and return the subscription. So let's save this, and of course we have nothing inside the component, so let's go to the search component and let's add something, because at this point we don't have anything there, and we need just to, well, let's save. It's already saved, so you can see we are seeing this because we didn't change, or I didn't change the app module, sorry, app component, and remove that. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to go into my code and copy well, let's say div class container. Inside that I'm just going to add this, the image. I'm going to add the image later, so let's just remove that, and maybe I can download another one and show you how to add it in case you don't know. I'm going to take this video to show you some things. So let's say, no, I want router. If you type this router outlet, this is the one that you need. Okay, so it fixes, it adds that. So as you can see, we have the search works. That is what is being shown. We actually don't need this one. Okay, well, we still need that one because we need to manage the error. This one is already done, and this one is already done. The module also is done, and we can, let's keep that open. So let's move the service there and the app component. So as I said, this is what we're getting inside the search component. Now what we can do now is to go to the component and add what we need. So let's go to the search component TS and start importing some things. So I'm going to import, I'm going to copy and paste that. The form group control and validators from Angular Forms, we're going to use that. I'm going to import subject throw error and off. I think I don't need off in this case because I use off inside the other the service. And I'm going to import this one. So you will see that I was trying retry when and retry because of the error that I'm going to explain in a second. I'm also but now I'm not using those. Okay, I'm just returning something that you will see why it's working. We're going to use map the bounce time distinct until change switch map that we are going to check switch map on another video and catch error that just gets the error. But I'm going to remove retry and retry when because we're not going to retry any action. And we need to import the service, the search service from the from the service, of course. So let's go actually below this one and let's start adding or creating some variables. So let's say public loading is a boolean, search term, public search term is a new subject that is the subject is going to allow us to create an observable from there, from that from this search term we're going to receive or we're going to create a new observable that we're going to be able to subscribe to that. Why this thing is new, sorry, this is equals new subject, okay, public base URL. Okay, I don't have that, sorry, just I forgot that I didn't have that there. I move all this, but I think we need also here a public search results. Let's just copy this because I changed that. There's an actual code that you can see online for this, so I made some changes and that's why I have this here because you know all that was in a service, so I decided to change that into a service. That's why I have some things that are not needed, but I forgot to remove those. So we will see what works and what doesn't. So that's why sometimes if you are not used to see RxJs and you check a code, it's useful, but sometimes it's not as good as it could be because it's kind of all in the same component, you know. It doesn't allow you to think in a more general way to have all that functionality in a service. So sometimes I think that is what throw people off about using RxJS. Okay, so we have this loading source term, source results, pagination elements, and error message. And inside the constructor, we're going to only have the service. So let me copy this and paste it. The search service, that is a type search service. And of course, the code wasn't using switch map, wasn't using catch error. Okay, so all that comes from doing some research. But once you get your head around RxJS and how it works, it's not that hard to find you know, the the bits of code that you need in order to make something work. So let's say inside this, we're going to create this public search form. There's going to be a new form group, and this form group is going to have only the search. That is a new form control, and the first argument inside this function is the value that we're going to have by default, but we're going to have an empty value, and the validators. Okay, I can't remember if I use the validators there, but okay, that's not it, that's not good. Okay, in any case it needs to be a comma. So and now we're going to do something here. So this is where we're going to add the functionality that uses map, debounce, and all that crap. Okay, so let's say public search. This is the function, and it's going to say this that search term. Remember that search term. Remember that search term now is a subject. Okay, so we get with that some things like subscribe, pipe, next has error, okay, and unsubscribe, and we can turn this into a promise, but we want the stream. So search term is going to be used when we type, and we're going to use that string. Okay, we're going to convert this string into a stream of kind of characters. Okay, so let's think it that way. So not pub but pipe. We know we have that because this now is an observable, and we're going to use map the event, and this one is wrapped like this. Okay, and here we can say console.log value event that target that value. We have that, and we need to return something to continue the stream. So return event that target that value. Okay, so this is going to have the input values, and we're going to, a part of consoling that, we're going to retrieve it, or return it into the next bit, so it continues the stream. The next bit is going to be the bounce time. So we're actually going to wait, okay, time of duration in milliseconds for the window of time required to wait for emission. Okay, so if we type fast, well, let's check it here. The bounce time. Well, I did that wrong. The bounce bounce time. If I can freaking type, maybe it explains a little better here. But we're going to wait for the specified time in milliseconds, okay, in order to meet another value. That's essentially it. Okay, it doesn't say. You know, sometimes this is an example. Okay, this operator is popular, such as type ahead. Okay, type ahead is just a search input. Well, yeah, just trust me on this. It's going to wait 400 milliseconds in order to meet another value. Okay, in case the observables are I can't remember to explain this one. I was hoping to get the but you can take a look at that, and Okay, so you can see why we're adding the time in milliseconds. So it actually yeah. Wait 5.5 seconds, 500 milliseconds between keyops to emit the current value. Okay, so that is going to have us some time before making the request. Now distinct until changed. So let me look at that. It's going to only emit the values, as far as I know, when there's something different. Okay, only emit when the current value is different than the last. So we don't get kind of merge requests there. You know, a different request with the same values. That's essentially it. And switch map, that is going to allow us to control what we're going to pass. Okay, so let's take a look at switch map. So all this I'm going to explain better on another videos. If you know Spanish, I think this should be in Spanish, but just this difference between a map, flat map, and switch map that you can check. Okay, so let's check it. Fuck it, let's check it. I hate those fucking models. So switch map, let's go to switch map. Switch map returns an observable. So it's essentially the map that receives a value and returns the value in a different way. Okay, so switch map only works as far as I know with observables. For new stream that happens, it's going to close the other stream. So for new calls, it's going to call. I mean, it's going to close the last call, even it wasn't it was kind of pending. Okay, so it's going to close that call and allow us to make another call. So let's say and I say I'm not an expert on this, but I'm slowly wrapping my head in all this, so at least you can have some working examples, you know, in the way that you are going to use those in, you know, production, using it as services and, you know, some things like that. So that's why I'm trying to share here. So we need to return something in the switch map. Okay, so we're going to return, remember that we have this service here, the search service, that has this function that actually calls and returns this other function. Okay, so that's why essentially we did this, because this is simpler. So we only return the function that we already have here defined, so we can use it inside our component. So let's say this that search service that underscore search entries. So this is going to call the function and return that. So we pass the term. Okay, that the term is this one. Okay, it's a switch map. So let me get all this straight. Pipe is going to continue the stream. It's going to allow us to modify the stream, okay, and pass it before we subscribe. All this isn't working until we subscribe to that. Okay, so get that straight in your head. Now, here we're only going to console the value, but remember that search term, although we still don't have that inside our component, we're going to have it, and search term is an input. Okay, it's going to continue. It's going to it's going to have the input values. So that's why we are going to return the target value of that input. Okay, But since this is now an observable, it's a stream of values, and on each string we're going to do this operation. So we're going to wait for 400 milliseconds, and on top of that we're going to wait until something is different inside the input. Okay, after that, this term is actually this value. So it's the event target value that we're going to pass inside the search entries. Now remember that the search entries require a query, and that's the actual query that we're going to pass inside the GitHub API. So this essentially is doing is passing the same value, doing some check-ins. Okay, so we don't have multiple requests happening at the same time, and we're going to pass the term. So after this, we can do something else. This one is, yep. So let's say catch error. So catch error is this is what is going to allow us to check if an error happens in this stream, so we can or retry with what I showed you before. That was retry, and retry when from this. So retry and retry when. We are not going to use those, of course, not here, not now, but you can use a retry when. Okay, and I think you need to specify milliseconds or something, or just say retry and retry the request, but we don't need to retry that. Okay, we're going to console the error here, and from that we're going to say this dot loading. That's why we have this, because we will have the loading state or the loading spinner working, and we want to change that. Okay, we don't want it to get stuck inside that state of showing the loading spinner. Now this dot error message is going to have something. Okay, the error that message that is going to happen, and we're going to return a throw error. You could also add this into a variable and display it. So we're going to just throw the error just like that. Fuck it, and continue with the stream if we want it. Okay, I think catch error should be the last one, but I'm not completely sure about that. So now here, after all that, we can subscribe, and now it's going to work. Okay, v for value is going to be equals, you can say d e whatever value, I don't know, whatever you want as this, you know, to give that any name you want. So we're going to say this stat loading equals to true, and this stat search results, that as we needed, that is going to be equal to v. Okay, that is the actual values, the array of values, and we need to pass something because we're using the pagination. So this that pagination element equals to this that search results. So we need to pass that because it accepts an array, and as far as I know, that's all we need. No, we need to pass this that search, and that is the method inside the ng on init. This is not going to work because there's nothing, okay, inside our component HTML. So we're going to continue with this, and that should be the end. So let's take this and say section. Let me just copy this and paste it. This is a form with a form group of search form remember that we already have this form group called here search form that gets or has a search property that we need to specify here using the form control name search, and all the magic is happening here. The key up event is going to pass to the search term a new value that is the event. Okay? Remember that the search term now is an observable, and to pass values we need to pass the next or use the next method. And so every time we let me save this and check if this is, every time we do this is going to you can see that is getting the values. Search component ts31, something else working, but okay, so you can see this is getting the values. So it says search entries is not well, that should be okay. Well, let's continue. So that's how we are passing. On other versions or with other forms, you will use the ng model, but now we're just passing the event into the new observable that we created using the next. Okay, and we're going to say, let's say, let's type this div ng if search results, that is the array that is going to have the results, div class results, and let's say div, let's remove that space in there, div class repo, and let's say ng4 let result of pagination events, pagination elements, and we need to pass a pipe paginate that is coming from the ngx pagination, and items per page is going to be 6 items, and the current page is going to be page that we still don't have that. So let's say a div, let me just get this because all this is coming from that, and I'm going to show you the image. Okay, loading lazy, of course, because we need to keep our eyes with the new trends, okay, or with the new specifications. So we are going to lazy load the image in case it's too big, and below I think is this one, we're going to add the paginate controls. All this is inside the ngx pagination. Okay, the page is going to be equal to event and just that on page change, and I'm going to have this error. I think I'm using that, I can remember. So let's save this and let's see. So this is the error. We're going to get the error message and display that, okay, if error message is set. So that's why we have this error message is equal to message on line 43. So that should be it, and let's test it. Let's see if it works. So let's say React. Okay, this is search service, search entries is not a function. You can see that we're getting the error. Okay, this error. So that's actually odd. So let me see what I so this should be working, and it says this is a search service, search entries is not a function. Public search entries term. Let me see if I do this. And meanwhile, I'm going to check my service. So that should be working. So this is actually the last one, not the last part, but because I need still to show you the error, how to handle the error. Okay, it seems now it's done. Let's say ngx. Now, that's why you can see that I like to copy and paste. I didn't have to cut the video to do anything else. Okay, I usually don't cut my videos. I just deal with the errors. But for some reason, it said that search entries wasn't a function. Just restart the server, the local server, and that should work, or at least that worked for me. Okay, so yeah, but what if we, and you saw that we got the error, so let me just add my stylings so you can see that in a better way, and also the loading that I showed you before, where you can get all those spinners. Okay, let me save this and let me see if it works, and then I will. Okay, we don't have the image, so let's say ngx, we get this searching, and it continues there. You might be thinking why this is here, why this is continuing to work here if we set that to false. Well, let me show you. Let me first, before I forget. So this is the styling, body, container, logo. That is the image that we're going to use. The input type text, the search message, results, repo, repo h2, repo h2 anchor, error message h2, error, and this is the loader that you can get this from the internet. Okay, let me just scroll if you, in case you want to copy that. Okay, so we are in the keyframes, and that's it. Okay, so let's close that, and this is working, but we have an error here, so we can say react. Okay, we have react, we can say view, although I don't like to use view. You can see that we have all this. Okay, those pictures. So let's go and check. Let's close this one, and let's actually close this one because right now everything is working fine here. So let's go to the search service, and we have this console.log not defined. In case I do this, can you provide undefined where a string was expected? Okay, and this should be, in any case, I think that should be. Let me check this, because maybe that's another error that loading false. As it loaded into true? That should be loading false, right? So we should only get the loading. Okay. Sorry, that was my mistake, but we will see that the searching gets there, even though I fixed that. If we do something, okay, so this is working. Sorry, I forgot to change this into false. I don't know why I said true. So that is saved. But because I saw this return empty, and this is what is only what is actually going to show us the searching in the state that you saw before, showing the searching even though we got the results. So right now, just close this, or let's clear that. If I remove this, okay, all that is going to say type error, you provide undefined where a stream was expected. Where a stream was expected. Okay, so remember that all this is passing through the, I close that sheet. So here the stream is being expected. Here, okay, we are passing the stream. So all this is just a single stream until it reaches subscribe, and there we get the values. Okay, so all this is going to be marked as the stream. So the problem is here, because search entries, you will see the search entries is, what the fuck is this? Okay. Search entries is calling, or search entries function, I mean underscore search entries is calling the search entries function, but we're checking if this is empty, and if that is empty, we're just consoling not defined, but this is an observable. Okay, so this needs to pass a stream of values, and we can do that in two ways. Using empty, that empty is only an empty observable. Okay, creates an observable that emits no items to the observer and immediately emits a complete notification. So it kind of closes itself after it's being created. So if we say react, okay, we get that and everything works, but the error happens when we do this. We get this not defined, but we get this searching because the stream continues to work even though this shouldn't be happening. Okay, but we can do something else. So let's do this. We can also, let me go to my service because this is just a simple line. We can also say return, and you know we have this off. Okay, return off. Okay, that is going to create an observable null. So we return an observable of null, and what is going to happen is, let's say not react, well, reactive react, and if we close or we delete that, it's going to return an observable of nothing, and because we are checking, now it's not going to break because we are checking, we are setting this search results to null. Okay, so it's passing a stream of null kind of values, and we are checking, okay, if the search components are the search components not null. So this null is essentially removing all that and just, well, removing all that, so it doesn't display. Instead of an observable of empty, it's still an observable and it's still giving empty values, but those empty values are not marked as null, so it's not going to respect this. Okay, so now you can see how those two things work, and I think that's it. I'm going to add the image in another video if you want. I'm just going to show you with Illustrator and all that how you can get an image in case you want to add it. So, I'm just going to take this course to show some little things that you might be thinking how to do them. And yeah, so this is kind of the end of the important things, and I'm going to add the image later in another video. So in case you want to check that, okay, it's going to be in the channel. If not, this is the end. You can do whatever you want, and that's it. See you in the next one.